What is going on in the construction market? Is there any construction taking place?
Well, I'd say if I had looked back at when I joined Hiscox in the end of 2008, you probably had a dire market that continued pretty much through 2010. But I have to admit, in the second half of 2010 and right through this year, we're seeing much more of an uptick in the construction activity. Financial closing seems to be improving, and projects that have been held off for probably a year or two are now finally coming to financial closure. So we are seeing somewhat more of an improvement in the market.
And what are some of the big concerns with the construction plan? I want to talk about green. What are they coming to you in terms of their needs for LEED certified buildings and the insurance needs with those?
Well, you're talking about LEED design. I think most of the buildings today that you're looking at, particularly office buildings, are being designed to current standards. Some companies have come out with LEED endorsements that basically takes in consideration if they had a loss is making sure that the building can be brought up to either silver, gold, or platinum status. I said, from my perspective, I look at it, if it was being built to a LEED certification, you're going to still rebuild it to LEED certifications. Like the distinction between a building that's now modular versus stick-built. You're going to build it modular to current standards.
What sort of future do you see in modular construction? Is it going to become the norm rather than the way I think?
Yeah, I think you will see modular construction becoming the norm because, one, you can do fabrication of components off-site in an area that you know what the protection features are. You know, you're repeating the same design and performance and manufacturing the component. So I think it'll be two things. It'll cut costs down and expenses in developing a project, plus the time factor. It's the two major things as an owner-developer you look at is building on time and on budget.
If everything goes modular, what does that mean for construction insurance?
Well, from a modular standpoint, we probably will have more exposure from the amount of accumulation in one off-site fabrication area and probably less from the standpoint of the buildup. So if the components fail, you got a total failure of a component. Whereas when you're building it up, it's piecemeal, so you don't have the same exposure. And I would imagine from even a CAT modeling standpoint, the people like RMS and EQE will have to revise how they do some of the CAT modeling on exposure for builders' risk coverage.
Building information modeling, that using the 3D model to create a building, is that something in insurance?
Yeah, I think the level of sophistication that's going out there is a lot more coming to the forefront of underwriters. When, you know, I'm of the baby boomer generation, I started my career in construction and did a lot of what we call Section 8 housing, low-income housing and rehab. There was no such things as drawings in those days. The drawings that you had to deal with an existing building, modifications structurally that you're making the building. Today, almost everything you see is 3D design, so you get a perspective of what the project will look like, the problems that you may experience when you're erecting it, the sequence of erection, the methods and means of putting it together. So it'll be a critical component of things.
What are some of the competitive edges that Hiscox brings to the construction market that you?
It's the expertise, the people that we have on board currently. I look for people that have knowledge of the industry, came out of the construction industry or as an engineering background, have training from the likes of companies like the Swiss Re, the Munich, the SCOR Re, the people that had technical capability and still provide technical training to their competitors in their markets these days. And I think the biggest thing that we look at as closely as possible is who we're dealing with as a client. From the standpoint of how do you build a budget up, you can't just chase projects down. So the focus point is looking at the client base. We want to build a relationship with the client. We want to have a sustained relationship over time with both the client and the broker and the agents that are involved, because they're the ones that are calling you up for expertise, particularly when something's unique and unusual. It doesn't mean that you're going to develop a new product everybody's going to use, but you're going to listen to what the issues might be with a specific product or unique feature of the product from an insurance or legal liability standpoint. And we basically try to build a product around the needs of the client. Unique each time, maybe one of a kind type of thing that you see that doesn't have an evolution to developing other products. But the focal point that I've tried to do, again, is focus on the client first and then the product needs for them.
Give me an example recently of a project that was especially unique that you were able to come up with an insurance solution for.
I had a client that I've seen before, but I hadn't done much business with them at Hiscox. And one of their requirements for doing a repair job on a hotel, they had a small contract, but one of the requirements were that in the event the existing building was damaged arising out of their construction activity, they would be held legally liable for any time delays that were experienced by the building. So we provided a form of builder's risk in combination with a fire legal liability policy, responding to physical damage to the existing structure, not the construction alone, and the business interruption that might arise out of that. We don't necessarily develop new products like you'll hear across the board for a lot of companies. We're a small company. We're still in the startup phase. What we've done is reactivated some of the products we've developed over our careers and try to see where there's a unique need for somebody. We do business only with U.S. clients, but with those U.S. clients, we can also work on the international side. So if a project has a project in Afghanistan, we can do that. I have actually had a client that has a project rebuilding a mill in Haiti. So, you know, we're diversified enough to the point where we're looking for where there's opportunities, where there's niches, which other markets might say, we can't do this. Well, we're hoping if you do a project in Haiti, that a client will come back to you and say, hey, we happen to have one in Des Moines, Iowa. Can you take a look at it for us too? You know, we're not out there to totally steal the business, but where we find, you know, holes in the ointment, we try to jump in and fill the spot there. And, you know, that's hopefully what we'll move to into the next stage.